So, just some updates before I get onto content with you guys tonight. I've been sick and was booked off last week and everything. So your assignments are just going to be a couple days late in terms of getting them back. I had all my marking all come in last week, at the week before and last week, just as I got sick. So I've just been booked off for quite a while. So I'm now just playing catch up. So just give me a couple days. It'll only be delayed by a couple days, but just so you guys know, I always just prefer a bit of transparency so that you're not wondering where your assessments are. It's purely because I'm just finishing off a couple of other groups that submitted before you, and then you guys, you'll still get them this week. It just might be a couple of days later. All right, just so you guys are in the loop and know what's going on. Not to make you, thank you, not to make you feel sorry for me or anything. I just physically couldn't work. My eardrum almost burst. So, yeah, I was a very grumpy individual for a few days while the pain subsided. So, just random side note. So you know what's going on. Sorry, as I knock my daughter's guitar. Let's not destroy things, shall we? Okay. So obviously can't give you any feedback tonight about the assignment or anything. In all honesty, I haven't even looked at yours yet. I'm just finishing the other group. It's a pleasure. I was glad that I could finally get it converted. Just had to find someone whose system was converting properly because mine was not. Okay. So don't be anxious. I'm sure they're going to be absolutely fine. So I know it's all well and good me saying that, but yeah, I'm generally pleasantly surprised with assessments rather than upset, especially at second year level. So we're going to keep positive, and we're obviously going to now move forward. Yeah, it's got something to, it's for my specific issue is because my contract is with CAT, not with VC, just because I develop and set content for VC, and it just doesn't want to give me permissions. It's that whole, that authorization thing. And some people's systems work fine. I don't know, it's so weird how some students, some lecturers, some people cannot, no matter what, get access, where others it's absolutely fine. So I'm interested to see next semester if they carry on with this formatting, but I do have to suck up to a friend and speak very nicely to her, and I can't push so much. So she converts it for me when she's got time. But at least it does mean we have access to it now, and it means that for you guys, it also helps a bit with studying, because not that I am all for spot learning and leaving out content, but it does give us a little bit of clarity of where to go forward with the other learning units, which is obviously very helpful for you guys, especially with the amount of work on your plates. Okay, so tonight what I wanted to focus on is actually question 1 of the POE, just because it's the last section of Learning Unit 2. So there's no Learning Unit 1 in the POE at all. There's this one short 20-mark question from Learning Unit 2, and then question 2 and 3 are from Learning Unit 3 and 4. And when I was looking through the POE today, when I got it converted, question 1 is based on a very small section of work, and I just wanted to break it down with you guys because you've been looking through the media effects and probably looking through all the theories, and this particular section that the question your POE question is based on is like a paragraph. So very, very small amount of content. And it's actually something you could probably breeze over and skip without realizing it. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys don't do that for obvious reasons. So I want to speak to that. And how far are you guys? Have you been able to move on to Learning Unit 3 yet? Just so I know whereabouts you guys are. And just to remind you about the announcement I sent about us, you've still got a few more weeks, but just to say get us done, just so that you don't waste that 10%. So I don't know how far you guys are at, but with the question, with the POE, we've got quite nice guidance in terms of where to focus for Learning Unit 3 and 4. So that's obviously what I'm going to be doing with you guys. Okay. So I just want to speak to this part 1. Okay, I get that. That's what I kind of figured, was that I know that you guys have had a lot of assignments due and a lot of stuff on your plates. I didn't think you would have got as far as Learning Unit 3. So I thought for tonight, let's just look at this part 1, wrap up Learning Unit 2. And then from, we got the final ICE task due date today. So you'll see that you probably find that's, I got from on campus, I kind of guessed when the distance would be, hence why I sent out that announcement, just to give you guys a bit of clarity, and it's just then another thing you can check off your list. So let's wrap up with Learning Unit 2, looking at how it applies to the POE tonight. And then in our next collab, what we can do is look at Learning Unit 3, discuss it, and then look at how that specifically works for the POE. Okay. The link is broken. Oh, hell. Okay. Sorry, because I did it at the beginning of semester, I didn't pick that up. Okay, I will have a look at that. Is that for activity 4.1.1, the media and democracy? That one. Okay, let me click on it from my side. If it is to do with you being, no, the link has been deleted or suspended. Great. Okay, that's new. I will change the ICE task then, because no one can do it. Okay. Yes. Okay. All right. I will, once we finished our collab tonight, I will go and put up another ICE task for you guys, with one with a link that does work, because there's no point in having an ICE task that you cannot complete. So, all right. Thanks for letting me know, because otherwise I would never have known, because everything was working at the beginning of semester, so something's obviously happened since then. Okay. All right, so having a look at your POE, I'm not getting into like the typical NSA stuff of formatting and structure and all that. I'm purely looking at content tonight, and looking at this particular section from your textbook. Okay, so this might be a topic that you are aware of. Most people have heard about the scandal behind the fake photos with Kate Middleton. Not that they're fake, they just photoshopped, and there's a whole ethical debate around Photoshop. Well, there always has been, but more recently about how far is too far, what should be acceptable, what's not acceptable, because what media outlets, their rules for photoshopping and editing are different from the everyday person and media organization. And because of the whole Kate Middleton thing, with her disappearing for a while and everything, I don't know if you guys would agree with this, but the media kind of did its typical, in my view, its typical thing of, ooh, what are they hiding? Ooh, something's dodgy. Automatically turning it into a negative, when never mind, she was dealing with a cancer diagnosis and, needed time to process and everything. But it was, especially I find with the UK tabloids and stuff, it went on the attack and, went to really break her down. I don't know, almost in hopes that it would get her to come out of hiding. I say with air quotes that you can't see. Yeah, it is a very weird relationship. Like, they idolize them, but at the same time, they criticize them and are so, I don't know, mean, to put it in a very simplistic term. But yeah, there's this major love-hate relationship, and they want complete and utter transparency, but forget that they're real human beings, but don't want the royals to exist because they cost money, and I don't know. It's very, very twisted. Like, the tabloids are reliable, objective. Yeah, exactly. But the truth of the matter is, in the UK, a lot of people do actually rely on these tabloids for their media. It's like they think that this is the be all and end all. It's like using just You magazine as the only source of information that's out there, and not chirping You and saying it's a bad publication or whatever. But it's not, the be all and end all. There are some stories that get blown out of proportion or twisted or whatever. So, I just find that the UK tabloids seem to look for things when they aren't there. Never mind, again, in this instance, she's ill and needed time to process what she was going through. Yes, tabloids are sensational. Some of them do have like a slight inkling of truth and accuracy and all that kind of thing, but their sales and their stories are based on sensationalism, shock factor, being breaking news, not in a way to benefit society, but to make money. Hence why, like, when Kobe Bryant's plane went down, TMZ released the information before everyone had been notified. So pretty much everyone involved within that accident found out about their loved ones dying from social media, not from the police. And they said, well, if it wasn't going to be them, someone else would have done it, which is not necessarily true. That is tabloid media. And again, a lot of people, unfortunately, do see tabloid media as a valid, truthful, accurate source of information, when it's not. It's all speculation based and trying to make stories out of nothing. And obviously also it's all celebrity based, trying to give insight which doesn't exist into these fabricated worlds. And certain celebrities obviously get targeted more than others. The royals in the UK do get targeted. I think especially, I'd say the UK, but it's the US as well. If we look at how Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have all been portrayed, not saying they're saints at all, but you can't say that the media didn't have some influence in making things go a bit crazier than they possibly could be if things had been handled in-house. And Kate Middleton is one of those people that they love to hate her. It's like she's perfection. She's always well posed, all poised, and puts on this perfect show, but they want to break her down. I know, but it's the monarchies, not only in the UK but through Europe and all that as well. It's that ancestry thing that a lot of people still support. Oh, The Crown, the show. Yeah, well, it has finished because of lawsuits and everything that the royals were throwing at the show because of the amount of content that was made up. Because again, it's speculation, but a lot of people see it as truth. Yeah, I think the last season was beginning of this year, end of last year, somewhere around there. But there was so much push that they had to stop it. Yeah. So that again, with these tabloids, with this media effects that we're going to be looking at, it's like Diana is a very good case study for looking at the effects of media and media representation and influence of media in not only like what is printed, but also the pressure. I mean, literally paparazzi were the reason why if you go by no conspiracy theories, if you just go by like the facts, the media were the reason why she died. This constant obsession with her life, wanting to know what's going on, and pushing to see how long it will take until she breaks. Yes. And so a lot of that stuff, like with the Margaret Thatcher and Princess Diana and that kind of stuff, some of it, they used as much accurate information as they could. There's a lot of interviews and documented evidence and all that they actually did use. They had a hell of a lot of a research team. Like, it was big, but the private conversations, the in-between, that is where the lines got blurred. And yeah, like you say, when Diana came to be in the front and center of the series, that's when it got too much. And the reality is that media has the ability to affect us, good and bad. And it has the ability to change our perceptions of people, make us analyze certain people, the world around us. And because people take a lot of media at face value, even though we don't trust the media, a lot of people won't go beyond reading one story once and not following up. There is significant impact that the media can have on us. Be similar to Jimmy Hoffa, the public license. Yep, I agree with that. It just shows you. But again, media. There is if people want to move away from the public eye, or if the media wants to take focus away from a person, they have the ability to do that. That's that agenda setting theory. They have the ability to direct the narrative, attack certain people. I'm just at the moment, Taylor Swift's coming to mind because of her album that was released on Friday. And a lot of people have been doing her lyric analysis and all that, and looking at not only the stories and the stuff that she had hidden, but also there's a lot of her new songs and some of her older stuff that have spoken to the external influence that has created who she is, because she had to be a certain way because that's what the media portrayed. And so I've been kind of looking at it from media perspective and how she's using the songwriting and all that, and I find it quite interesting looking at from that different perspective. But again, it's all down to what the media wants us to know, how the media wants us to know it, and what the intentions are of that media. So for your social medias and stuff, your influencers, your in this digital age, it's not about longevity of stories. It's not about longevity of ethics and media and
how we are creating trust within society. It's that instantaneous want of recognition, acknowledgement, and the now, because we are instant gratification people. And it's quite interesting how the media is causing a lot of the pressure. So if we look at TikTok, Instagram, your traditional media websites and that as well, they are on everything that's happening globally 24/7. And the moment someone steps out of line or something happens, they report on it. But also at the same time, we as society are now part of that media because of these social medias. And the moment someone sees a photo like this one of Kate Middleton, and they go, that doesn't look right. We as society are now starting to break things down and question what is being released in social media. And it's like I was saying, Photoshop is such a touchy subject, because who decides where the line is drawn? What is deemed too much Photoshop? What is slight editing? And we can pick up on these things. And what people keep forgetting is that Photoshop actually exists because of the darkroom, because of your film back in the day. The same things that you can do on photos now, you could do in the darkroom. I mean, I was literally taught how to manipulate the photos. So it's not something new. So anything, where is the line between censorship and the media and journalism as a social advocate? It's a hard one. Yes, social media definitely blurs the line. In my view, is media should always be informing us. They should never. So again, with that agenda setting theory, they should always be telling us not what to think, but what to think about. That they are our go-between between the guys in power and the everyday person. So it's not their role to mediate, to censor, to hold back. They should be the ones giving us the information, and then we should be then deciding from there what to do with that information. The one time when, to me, it's not censorship, but the one time where limitations are placed for a reason are embargoes. So where something would have happened and there is a embargo in place, placed on the media saying this is happening, you cannot release this until X time. And to me, sometimes those instances are relevant. So it's not a censorship, but it's a delay of information for those that are involved within the story. So I'll give you two scenarios. Embargoes can be important, but they can also be detrimental. So World War II ended, I can't remember the exact date. World War II ended on a particular date. An embargo went out to all the media saying World War II is over, but this is only going to be announced tomorrow, which meant another additional 24 hours of people being killed when the war was over. So their deaths literally being for nothing. And a Reuters journalist actually ignored the embargo, got banned from the journalism industry, and only in the last 5 years or so, they actually apologized to that journalist saying, you were right. We did not have the right to hold people's lives literally in our hands. So to me, that kind of thing isn't good. So I'm just saying, I ask, as we've had some really bad storms in the UAE recently, in social media has been used by people to spread conspiracies, fake news around cloud seeding. Oh yes, yeah. I've been seeing those storms. But cloud seeding's good. Cloud seeding's needed. Sorry, my other background, my degrees, I've got degrees in geography and journalism, so that's why I get irked with that. Government sent a warning on negatively portraying the UAE could result in a fine prosecution. So, it is I think also with countries like the UAE, Russia, China, when there is so much limitation on the media in everyday life, I think that people do tend to go to the extreme on the other side. So we do end up having these conspiracy theories and all that, and where the rest of the world, we know that fake news is prevalent, we know it's there, we accept it, we choose to navigate around it. Where countries like UAE, Russia, China, where there is more censorship and control, they have more power in controlling these conspiracy theorists, as it were. I don't know if I'm making sense. So it's almost like because of the constant everyday control, they can they put that pressure on. Your surveillance states 100%. So they can be fined and prosecuted. Technically now, so if you deliberately spread fake news, especially that is defamation, with essay laws in particular, there's actually laws now in place that you can be held accountable and actually also be fined. It is something that's social media laws are changing. So while I don't think it is necessarily how the UAE necessarily do it is the right way, in terms of it almost feeling dictator-like or, communist state-like. In our democratic state, there is more power or more focus being put on social media laws to try and mitigate or lessen fake news and that. Going back to the UK, they're keeping me a surveillance state as well. Oh yeah, 100%. There's the same in the US. You can't walk down a street without there's cameras literally on every corner. So, but you either have to choose to accept that and choose to live there, or you choose to leave. Just like, it is for, with people in SA, it's you choose to know the negative and you choose to live with it, or you choose to move. Yeah, exactly. Everywhere is a compromise. That is so true. All right. So let's have a look here. So now, while this might have seemed like a random conversation, which I really love because I love talking about this kind of stuff, it's actually really relevant to your question, which is why I want you guys, like I said, though, it is such a small percentage of, it's literally a paragraph that I don't want you guys to overlook it and get confused, because if you read it, you could get confused and then go into the full-on media effects theories, which is not what the question is actually asking for. So what we are talking about is actually called planned and, which page is it? Hold on. Okay. As soon as we've finished our collab, I will reopen it. Let me just check if sorry, I had to do the screenshots because my laptop is still broken. And I just want to see if it, there we go. I just want to see, I think I have the page number at the top, just so that you know where to look. There we go. Okay, it's page 231. All right, so there you go. I did have it. I just couldn't remember if I got the bottom of the page or not. Okay, so it's 231 of the textbook. It's page 260 if you're using it in terms of a PDF reader. And obviously there's all the Roman numerals at the beginning. Okay, so just to have a look. So we have two different kinds of media effects. And what you're talking about with the UAE and that is actually considered a planned media effect. It's deliberate control over the media, deliberately putting out a particular narrative to influence society in a particular way. And then you also have your unplanned. So I'm going to pull up the theory in a minute. But so like I said, it's a paragraph in total. But what we're focusing specifically here are your planned and unplanned media effects. So where you are deliberately choosing to influence society and shape their views and influence who they are, influence the information they're getting, and sometimes there's unplanned media effects where information gets shared and distributed by the media without the intention of doing something in particular. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. And you have to choose. Now, what's important here is you get to choose if you think the photo with the photoshopping and everything, which does mean you are going to need to do a little bit of research into photoshopping and what's deemed acceptable, not acceptable in terms of media and that kind of thing. Obviously, I will do our full NSS breaking this down, but I just want to go through this theory. But you get to decide if you think the editing and the manipulation of the photo was intentional manipulation of society, or if it was unintended, as in it was photoshopped not to deliberately deceive, but photoshopped to enhance the photo. So, because just some basic understanding for Associated Press, Reuters, all those kinds of things, the only things you're allowed to edit in a photo is the contrast. You're able to crop, not manipulate the photo, but you can crop to a certain degree. You can change contrast. You can change brightness. You cannot change any content that is within the photo that changes the meaning of that photograph. So you can't remove elements. You can't merge photographs. You can't add things. The whole point is that within photography, so again, my degree in photojournalism and media and all that, we were taught different levels of photoshopping. Photoshopping for art, for you can change the meaning of a photo or whatever if you're doing studio work where you are trying to create a particular message, environment, campaign, whatever it may be, where there is a deliberate intention to that photoshopping. But if you're doing it for media purposes, for distribution of facts, events, things that are happening, it is not meant to be photo manipulation. It's just meant to be photo enhancement. So this is now where a lot of people are having big ethical debates, because is changing the position of a hand photo manipulation if it's not changing the meaning of the photograph? Are you trying to, have you taken the smile off one photograph and put it onto a grumpy looking face in another? So an example is I did a shoot for Enerjade long time ago, and when we were putting the ad together, it was literally a leg from one photo, an arm from another, the body from another, to make this perfect athlete, because every single photo had something wrong with it, that if we had chosen the photograph as it is standalone, it would show poor form on the runner. It would, there would be all other issues surrounding it. So it's about how far it can go and what is the purpose of that photograph. If a photo was used as evidence in a lawsuit, that would be considered tampering. 100%, exactly. And it's the bigger issue that we're having at the moment, or what the media is having with photoshopping and with photo editing and all this stuff, is how do we know how far someone has gone? like, you know, if they are just shifting this slight thing there or doing that, when do they go that little bit further and, you know, crop out a person? Or there was I think it was an AP photographer who he took, the photo was of it was the Middle East, and there was a guy coming towards the camera, and he got someone else's video camera in the shot, and he thought it didn't look good, so he literally just photoshopped it out, and he got fired and lost all his credibility. And his argument was it didn't change the meaning of the photo, but how do we trust once that kind of manipulation is done? Yes, it didn't change the meaning of the photo. You know, if the camera had been there with the camera, he didn't change the person within the photograph. He just took the camera out so that it looked neater. But then we don't know what people's ethical boundaries are. So, this is the planned versus unplanned effects, and subsequently, what the intentions are is what the focus of this question is. So, just to show you the theory of it, like I said, it's such a small section that you could overlook, is here where it speaks to planned and your planned and planned effects. I don't know why it says planned. It's meant to say planned and unplanned. How did I not notice that the textbook has an error? Okay, anyway, so your planned effects is where it is propaganda or media campaigns. So propaganda, obviously deliberately done to skew our perceptions of reality, push a government's viewpoints, perspectives. You guys know the propaganda stuff from all the essay apartheid stuff we've done. So that's nothing new. Media campaigns. So now this is where this royal photo being released is questionable if it's a media campaign, because, you know, they're trying to reassure the world, but more specifically the UK public, you know, that everything's okay, Kate's okay, she'll be fine, she'll be okay. Is it a campaign to promote the royal, the image of the royals? Or, you know, is it just a photo being released? But it's that every single, well, in my opinion, you might disagree, but every single photo that's getting released and every statement that's released on social media by the royal family, it's all PR. It's all to put out a particular perspective of who they are. So is that not technically then a media campaign? I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you consider the content they release a campaign or just PR? I don't know. What's your perspective? There's obviously also media campaigns where it's trying to, you know, raise awareness around world hunger or GBV or Black Lives Matter or all that. Those are obviously big campaigns as well. But when we get those campaigns, we know there is a deliberate reason why they're being released. We know there's a bias. So it's okay. It's a puff piece. It's definitely PR for me. Okay. So to me, yeah, exactly. There was so much speculation going on about her because she was hidden for so long. Again, I still do believe that, rightfully so, it's very difficult, especially at her age, to be wrapping her head around a cancer diagnosis, especially when her father-in-law is also going through the same thing. Just so many memes. Oh my gosh. And the thing is now, every photo that is going to be released by the royals is going to be analyzed by photographers, by graphic designers, by anyone that knows anything about Photoshop. Every single one. Not that they probably were, I mean, they probably were before, but this was probably the first one that was just so obvious that it made a lot of people go back and actually analyze and question a lot of past photos where they found other examples of bad Photoshop.
So this is the thing, it's that these are planned effects. This is where there is deliberate, a deliberate message going out, means of trying to put out a particular perspective. The other side of it is obviously our unplanned effects, and these are where stories get released, where events have happened or whatever, and that there are subsequent effects that weren't the intentions of the media. So it could be creating cultural change or societal change. It wasn't that they are releasing this information to deliberately change our perspectives. It's that the releasing of the information has caused our perspectives to change because that issue has been brought to light that wasn't there before. Oh, sorry, I pushed the thing before I brought up the second point. So it's that change occurs not because of the media, because of the event unfolding, and the media are bringing that event to light. It also could be through socialization, where we are finding out more information about particular groups of people, about certain organizations, whatever it might be. It's that we choose to support one another based on these stories going out. So like when Black Lives Matter, where there was the resurgence with George Floyd, it wasn't that it was a new topic. It's still a topic that is being faced literally every day for people globally, but obviously focusing on the state's perspective. It was something that happened there, but people chose to literally put their lives at risk with COVID and protest globally, and it created a level of social change and global unity that hadn't happened before. It was not the intent, well, there was some intention, there was a bit of planned in terms of raising awareness, but the extreme that it went to and how people said enough is enough, that was unplanned, not knowing how far we would, as a society, take that message. So sometimes a planned can become unplanned as well. To me, this whole royal thing is kind of, it was, their campaign was planned, but it's also now opened up a whole new can of worms and whole other discussion, which, kind of had faded for a while and is now resurfacing. Because again, like I said, this discussion around Photoshop is not new. The other things, and then this is what I'm saying, this is how small the section is, guys. It's just these 4 other points. That's it. You don't go into the media effects theories, the short terms, the long terms, the nothing. It's just this one tiny little section. Where we have, again, where we talk about reality defining. So the media's interpretation of realities, which we are confronted with daily, and how we should understand them. We saw that obviously with COVID, about our whole reality changing literally overnight. And it wasn't the media causing the change. The change was occurring. They were just bringing it to light. Institutional change, we saw that with us with Fees Must Fall, where, protesting, the media were used as a tool to try and create change. Again, it wasn't a planned thing. It was people stepping up and going, actually, this is not enough. We've obviously had more recent protests and what have you, but it's that we hope that the media can raise our voices enough to bring about some form of change, a collective reaction when we as society are not okay with things. Again, so to me, what's happened is that the message that went out was planned. It was a campaign from the royals, but this collective reaction is an unplanned thing that is coming about because of the campaign that went out. So that's why I'm saying, to me, there's planned and unplanned that occurred because of that planned effect, media effect. Saying planned and unplanned a lot. Can we introduce the theory as it appears in the textbook and apply the case study with credible sources? Yes, that is absolutely perfect. So in terms of the number of credible sources, your sources that you're going to be bringing in are going to obviously be a lot of websites. It's going to be media analysis. So you would, because it's only it's under 800 words, you probably find you can get away with under 5 sources for the question. But a lot of the sources will actually be speaking more to the concept of, for example, this like collective reaction, people's issues with the photoshopping and, you know, how far is too far ethically. That's where you'll find your sources will come in. So it's looking at how your the effects of a planned media effect or releasing of information, like what the Royals did, and then bringing in that unplanned, whether or not you feel that there is that secondary thing of unplanned in terms of our societal reaction to the photograph being released, and how we as society, especially with social media, have called them out and held them accountable for the information that they released. Does that make sense, guys? It's actually an interesting question. Even though it's on such a small section of work, it's actually very relevant and very current. So, but I just didn't want you brushing over the theory that you need because it is such a small section. So that's all you need to know from now on from Learning Unit 2. And then, like I said, in our next collab, we'll do Learning Unit 3 and the next on Learning Unit 4. And, you know, focus on what the POE is wanting from you. So what you've got to, what I would like from you guys is pick a side, you know, choose if you think it is one way or the other, in terms of, you know, intentional, unintentional. You can give me both sides of the discussion. You can give me different perspectives, but one should stand out more than the other. I don't want fence sitting, because that just means that you haven't actually spent enough time coming up with your own viewpoints based on the information provided. All right. Any questions? Cool. Tamika, you all good? Yes. The questions are nice. Yeah. It's actually a nice POE. So it's a win for you guys. So yeah, we will get into the next question and next learning unit in our next collab. So thank you for tonight, guys. Yeah, take the win, because a lot of your other ones are so like hectic. So we're gonna claim getting a nice POE as a win for us. Thanks so much, and I will give you guys some feedback with your assignments as soon as I've marked them. All right. I will chat to you guys soon. Have a great evening, everyone. Bye.